right here at KPFK 90.7.
This just in. As a public radio listener, your abilities to recognize humor, satire, and just plain funniness may have been dulled by endless hours of monotone, dogmatic discussion. If you are one of these people, you may be suffering from irony deficiency. The sketches and performances on the Pocho Hour of Power are intended as political satire and are not performed with the intent to express hostility to persons of any nation, creed, gender, race, or ethnicity, or on the basis of their identity, sexual preference, or preoperative condition. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Pocho Hour of Power! Let's do this.
Hey, little homie, you playing the congas. Do you know what time it is this is? Do I know what time it is? Oops, it's time for the Pocho Hour of Power. Hold on, I'm glad I didn't miss it. Show.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. Good evening, my fellow citizens. Good evening, my fellow citizens. Good evening, my fellow citizens.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Pocho Hour of Power, and you know that we are here, nestled in Hollywood,
Yes, sir.
California, aren't we? In North Hollywood. Of course, a big concern. Representation, and representation matters in Hollywood in all fields, actually. It's very important to me and to us here in the Pocho Hour of Power. So because of that, and because we're brilliant, we have Luis Ramon Quintero, filmmaker, fledgling Hollywood executive. I don't know. You tell me. Here at the Pocho Hour of Power. Thank you for joining us, Luis.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here in cozy North Hollywood.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you have a short you want to talk about. What's the title of that short? And can you describe it? Although, even though we just watched it.
Oh, absolutely. My short film's called Mirage, and it's a magic realism tale about a little girl who spends her time daydreaming and fantasizing of exotic locations as she hopes to be reunited with her parents as she's being held captive by U.S. Border Patrol agents.
Oh, man.
There you go.
No spoilers.
Wow.
No.
None whatsoever. You always get them in with the teaser trailer. But one thing that I always agree with you saying, it's about empowering Latinos, you know, because I grew up in Pacoima, California, and we're known for two things. We're known for Richie Valens and gangs, you know, and unfortunately, the gangs is a big, big part of our upbringing. You know, last year I buried my 21-year-old godson. And in the first 10 days of last year, which I was held at gunpoint twice.
In Pacoima?
In Pacoima. Yeah, I know. You know, but the worst part is, you know, we don't know if, you know, what's worse, the fact that it happened or the fact that I know how to neutralize it because it has happened before in the past.
Yeah.
And the sad part is it's kids that are 14, 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, and it just happens. So one of the things that I make it a point is to empower them by creating content. You know, I was very privileged and honored to work at the studio. So I worked at Sony, at Disney, Universal, Fox, just to understand how the process works in order to infiltrate, understand, and then from there, open up opportunities, saying if this schlub, you know, from the barrio was able to do it, you guys can too. You know, so I'm actually a mentor for the Edward James Olmos Youth Cinema Program.
Cool.
So we go to talk to kids in low-income areas and tell them that you guys can do it as well.
Yeah.
And
Now, back up a second.
All right.
You know, like me, Esteban, Jeff, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been also like in and out and around Hollywood with varying degrees of success. I find that, you know, generally the community is very supportive. Sometimes they don't know that they should be supportive, and sometimes they're outright hostile. And sue me that I've noticed that and I'm bitter about that because, I mean, I've dedicated my life for representation, whether it's in comics, film, TV, cultural representation, in my daily life, I strive for it. And it just annoys the hell out of me when someone says, "Oh, you're trying to like be a sellout and work in the system and do this, and that." I've had friends that back in the day we were trying to get into Hollywood, and as soon as I got in Hollywood, they were like, "Oh, well, that's like that's bad."
They belittle you.
You're trying to be with the man or whatever. It's like, weren't we all trying to, like, get jobs with the man in Hollywood and try to break down those walls? Explain why that's not a problem and why you see the philosophy of working from the inside as positive.
Oh, absolutely.
Or is it?
It is very positive because I feel like if we don't know and understand, how can we change things? People don't understand us. They say, one of the biggest, statistics is saying that Latinos are number one in the box office. So executives, I've heard them say this. They're like, why should we cater to you if you already are number one?
As far as buying tickets for the blockbuster
box office.
movies, yeah.
We over-index like 25, 26, I've heard 28%.
Yep, 28%.
All the way up, there of buying movie tickets. We're great consumers.
Yes,
we
absolutely.
love consuming.
Absolutely, but the stigma that I'm trying to fight against is that they see us as bad hombres. They see us as cartel, narcos,
smugglers. Because when I go to the movies, I smuggle in candy.
Yeah.
Well, we all I beat them.
Well, we all do, though.
Around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, if we have a ham at home,
You take it to the movie theater?
my wife has invented this thing called the bag of ham.
Oh my god.
And she takes it to the movies.
Oh my
so I hope
God.
she doesn't get frisked for a bag of ham. Season's over, so
She sneezes, it's like, achoo.
But back up again.
All right.
Because I know you can go for 2 hours if we let you.
I could.
What is the problem about why are we over-indexing and buying all the tickets? Well, like I said, maybe we're good consumers. Why do the studios check out at that point and go like, so, is it because we will come anyway? And why is that bad? How can we prevent that?
Well, this is why, like I said, I'd rather go inside, understand their thought process, and come back and re-educate people that way, because no one's out to get us. You know what I mean? That's my personal feel. A disclaimer approach, I feel like this is everything I'm saying. Take it with a grain of salt. Every journey is different. I'm going through mine, so you go through yours. But at the same time, I always believe in step into the person's shoes. Say, for example, Universal. Universal is owned by who? Comcast. It's a billion-dollar franchise, conglomerate. Then they have the theme parks, the movie theater, the music, everything down below. That it's not that they don't care; it's the fact that diversity is way down on their priority level because it's all about money. At the end of the day, they have to support each other and have to make things happen.
And they're making the money regardless.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when I worked on Coco, and I met with the Imagineers on some of the park activations we did for Coco. The biggest shocker, which is not really a shocker, was that the Imagineers said 50% of the traffic at Anaheim Disneyland is Latinos.
Oh, absolutely.
And I said, wait, did you say 15%? He said 50%. And then that's when I realized, oh yeah, all my comadres have the annual pass, Like everybody goes to Disneyland.
Yep.
It's all raza, not all raza, but lots of it.
Oh, yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of people of color go to. And because we love that stuff. I mean, we
Absolutely.
just love those. It's not a good value, but it's it's a fun experience, and you do get a lot for your money, sort of. Yeah, how can we educate the consumer?
Well, again, it's like when I was growing up, I used to watch I Love Lucy, and I looked at Desi Arnaz, and I'm like, oh, I look like him. That's great. And he's a band leader, and he's entertainer. He's not cleaning the kitchen. He's not doing anything stereotypical. Why is it that in the 1950s we're at a really nice high peak, and he created sitcom television, the 3-camera setup, and then now into the 90s and 2000s we're now maids and servants and everything like that. So again, it's educating people through entertainment. So if you notice with the short film, I'm not here to antagonize anybody. I'm throwing it through a point of view, through the child's point of view. And we decided to create this film because 6 kids have died. And I don't know about you, but I don't like kids dying. Yeah. And instead of
I'm not a fan of that.
Not a fan of it. You know what I mean? So it's how do we change it? We showcase it through a neutral point of view, which is a child.
I'm here to antagonize everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what we do.
you live your life.
Yeah.
I live mine. antagonizing people. No,
We got people we need to piss off and get something done.
no, it's true. I mean, and so now to the bad hombres part. I mean, that's a function, obviously, of society, but it's also it's kind of like a self-feeding machine because they keep generating. If I see another story about a white woman who kills half of the Mexican cartel, a revenge killing thing, like Jennifer Garner, whatever crap movie she made, or those things, they just keep coming
Or
up.
Rambo, the latest Rambo.
The Rambo, yeah. And it reminds me of another trend.
The Mule with
Yes.
Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
All the Mexicans in there were just evil.
My friend Curly is a stuntman in New Mexico. He's Chicano, and he's like, I am the first guy to die in every movie.
Yeah.
You know, and if you see
Terminator.
any of those movies, he is like mowed down
Oh,
within the first 10 minutes
Yeah.
each time. You know, but I've noticed that there is a trend. Say the Terminator, right? That was a mix of this new trend. It was less of the bad hombre and more of the let's crowbar undocumented immigrants or Mexicans in this theme. Like I'm watching the show on Apple TV for Mankind or whatever, the movie. It's about NASA alternative history of the moon, the space race, and they crowbarred this like Mexican immigrant undocumented story, and that is just I did not see it coming. Yeah, but it's like a weird. They're noticing
absolutely
that it's been so long. We've been clamoring for roles in Hollywood. At least they're kind of doing that, but still, we need people behind the scenes that say, "Hey guys, how about a show just about those brown people instead of like crowbarring them into every movie that comes out? Like, here's a way to have some representation." I feel like it's just a weird. Semi-positive tokenization, though.
Well, to go back to what you were saying earlier about being pissed off and angry, the one thing that I've always believed is mentorship. And for example, like I knew it was going to take at least 10 years before anyone got to notice me or my work, and I was kind of close. It was more like 15, and I learned that because my very first, when I came back to Los Angeles, and I said I want to work with the studio. If you want to understand it, work at the actual place where you need to go. And you know how the kiosks are in the studios, and there's a long line of cars, and you show up, and at the time when I showed up, it's not like the internet where it's you have to call people, and so so I didn't know this, so I show up.
You brought a broom and you walked in.
Exactly. I brought a broom and I show up in the front gate.
Let him go.
Yeah. The security guard looks at me up and down. He says, "Do you have an appointment?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." It's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, you need an appointment to come into the studio." I said, "Well, I'm looking for a job and I have my resume right here." He's like,
a broom and a shovel. Yeah. Come on, sir.
Come on in. And so he says, "I can't let you in. And there's a long line of cars behind you. So what I'll do is I'll open up the kiosk in front of you. So don't go in all the way. Just go around the corner and then exit. And around the exit, there's a box. Put your resume there." I'm like, awesome. It's like a glimmer of hope. This guy's one of the good guys.
Yeah.
And he opens the kiosk, and it feels like St. Peter's Cathedral. You hear the pearling gates, and I loop around, and it's a trash can. And and the security guard just does this little salute to me. And
welcome to Sony.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, not that one, but yes. It was an experience that I will never forget.
Wow.
And I'm that kind of person. It's like, let's find a way. We have a problem. What do you want? What do you have? Determines what do you need. So just show up. So then I called Universal Pictures and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for an internship, or I'm just looking for a job in general." So I set up the proper channels. I show up, and the lady looks at me and looks me square in the eye and says, "There's no jobs." And I said, "I have my broom ready and I have my shovel. Come on, what else do I need?" She says, "But you look like a chamaco. Like at the time I didn't have this goatee." And it clearly ages me. And I look like I'm 12 years old. So the guy, she says, "But if you're a student, I'll let, you could get a free internship. Are you a student?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I am. I'm
life."
Yeah. So I feel like I'm one of the reasons why they're so strict on the internships now and required to sign paperwork, because I was there every day.
They're like, "Sir, Pacoima University's not checking out here on your papers."
Yeah.
That's because it's junior college.
Oh yeah, Boxy's the dean.
Yes. The scary part, though, what you said earlier is either you or Lalo said that if they're buying the ticket, so why would we do anything? But see, the other side is if we don't buy tickets, they say the same thing. So you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. If you don't go, they say, well, why should we cater? They're not coming anyways.
Yeah.
And if you do buy them, they're like, well, they buy them, so why should we cater? So, it's a double-edged sword.
But at the same time, I feel like we're being greedy because the studios only make 8 movies a year. If you really think about it, they make 4 remakes, 3 sequels, and 1 original. And that original's up for, flavor of the month, whoever that may be. So our competition becomes much more stricter. The rest is all acquisitions. They means you finance it, you cast it, you produce it, you direct it, you cut it, and if we like it, we'll slap our label on top of it and ship it off and call it our own. Yeah. Which is fine, you know what I mean? But at the same time, that's any business. So we have to unite together and saying, all right, my project, let's find a way to tell a story. Let's unite together. And again, one of the saddest stories I've ever had was I wanted to meet one of my idols, and I met him, and he was such an a-hole to me. And I said, I watched you growing up, and you were the Latino guy, and da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, ráscate con tus uñas type of thing. I did it on my own, so you do too. And that doesn't exist in others. You have in other cultures, you have Oprah, Tyler Perry, Issa Rae, and it's just pass. And for us, we're like alacranes, like it's like the barrel of crabs, And how do we change it? Instead of being bitter and angry at them, I said, what can I do,
Guys, we have Richard Roundtree coming on the show, but he pulled a Hollywood move on me, too. I went up to him, and he kind of ignored me, but he gave me his business card. I was like, he looked at me and just, here's my business card.
Gary, here's my business card.
Hey, so I just want to say I look like Desi Arnaz, too, Babalu. So and that inspired me. But I have a question for you. You're talking about you got jacked in Pacoima, and you said you neutralized that situation. How did that play out?
You have to have a bigger gun, Gary.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. He said, here, kid, have my business card.
You want to be famous? No, so at the time, I was dropped off my ex-girlfriend at the time of her apartment. So she said, I forgot something in your car. Can you loop back and come back? And in the corner is a kid on a bike.
That's a setup.
Yeah. And I'm driving at the time. You know what? You're right. So I make the loop, and the kid sees me, and we lock eyes, and he reaches for the piece, and aims it directly. And the thing is, I'm driving. I lock eyes with him. I do 10 and 2 because he has to see my hands, and I don't lose eyes with him. And I do this, and then he puts it away. Kids are being so scared nowadays, man. Like
you put your fingers up.
You put your fingers up. You show them the palm of your hands. And it's not.
That's not what I do. I reach down like I got a piece.
Or run.
Yeah.
No.
Then we all good now. See? What? Come on now.
Richard Pryor said, "Run."
Well, that's why. Actually, I'm very skilled at the art of run fu.
Run.
Hey, do you know where Richie Valens' house is?
Actually, I lived a block away from his house.
Oh.
Yeah,
Don't lie. You live in his house.
Well, we're second cousins.
Well, I seen Bob at Ralph's just recently. It's funny, his brother. So.
Yeah.
But just want to let you guys know that.
Really? That'd be interesting because he died, so. So, it's the haunted Ralph's.
Yeah.
Newsflash, Pacoima Ralph's is haunted by Bob.
Yes. No, I seen him in North Hollywood.
There's no Ralph's in Pacoima.
Oh, we're talking to Luis Quintero, filmmaker, Hollywood wall crasher.
Hey, where did you film? You were on location. Where did you film that?
I filmed all over Los Angeles. So I went to Pasadena to get the waterfalls. I went to Lancaster for the poppy fields. I was following the super bloom. I went to Matador Beach for the ocean stuff. And then I went to the Mojave Desert to do all the desert stuff and some of the creek stuff that's down there because you have all these great fields in the middle of nowhere that no one's aware of.
Now, what's the title of your film and how could they see it on YouTube?
Yeah. My film is called Mirage, and you can find it on my webpage at lrquintero.com, or you can find me on Instagram at the Flan Slayer.
The letter L and then the letter R.
Yes. As in
Quintero.com.
Yes. And you can find it on YouTube as well. We just, look at Mirage, Luis Ramon Quintero.
Do you give advice to young folks, too, if they email you?
Oh, yeah. I talk to all the kids. I tell them, look, one thing is this. If I'm accessible, you can find me anywhere. My social media is wide open. And I tell them I could hook you up with an internship or something at a studio or producers, whatever, on one condition. go to a four-year university, get an education, show me the paperwork, not that paperwork, and then prove it to us. And I will stick out my neck for you because you've earned it. Because a lot of us don't have opportunities. You know, it's like I had to bum rush my way through.
Yeah.
And I look at people that have been doing it as yourself, you know, and just saying, we have to continue. We're not waiting for anybody to give us permission. We're just going to go and continue to do it.
Yeah. And, you know, when I tell my friends about what I have to go through, even though I have a great gig at Nickelodeon right now, the Casa Grandes, it's still a struggle. There's still struggles, little ones, big ones. And because if you're fighting for content, you know, you're fighting for the culture to be represented, which is weird, which is my actual job, at, you know, part of it. It's sometimes there's resistance, and it's not always about, well, we just don't want to show. Obviously, they want to show brown kids on the show. That's what the show is, brown people on the Casa Grandes. But sometimes it's just, you're not speaking the same language, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're not thinking about the script and the way that they're thinking about it, or production or whatever. So I've been learning, you know, to be more patient, which is like mission impossible for me. That's not my nature. So, and also about meeting like your heroes, you know, don't meet them unless you want to buy them a drink, which is me. You can buy me a drink if anybody wants to meet me. But, yeah, it's tough to, you know, sometimes they will give you the bootstraps speech, or sometimes they can't, they barely scrape through themselves.
Absolutely.
And if it's the same person that I'm thinking about, not the easiest time,
No,
you know.
exactly.
So, you know, you got to consider that. I think the really effective way is what you do, what we all do, is talk to the youth.
Yes.
And encourage them and tell them, like you said, if this idiot can do it, I'm pointing at myself. If you can do it, you know, we can all do it. You
Absolutely.
know, you can do it.
Chico.
Don't be discouraged. Oh my God. Wow, we went from I Love Lucy to Chico the Man. And then finally to some stuff happening today, which is pretty amazing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we're living the human experience. People come to Hollywood and they can't quantify it. They can't see it. You know, they think it's this pearling white gates, and all of a sudden you go in and you've made it. There's no such thing. And I agree with you. You know, these guys have gone through so many struggles themselves that we don't know. But why be bitter? You know, be better. You know,
It's just, it's a hustle.
yes,
It really is.
The hustle is real.
The hustle's real in
but
Hollywood.
treat it like a business. You know, that's
Oh, you
the
have
thing.
to.
You got to remember that part. You know. All right. Well, Luis Ramon Quintero, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for joining us on the Pocho Hour Power. Your film is Mirage. It's available on YouTube. And LR Quintero's your page. I don't know. This guy's like hanging out on the corner waving down people, so you can find him.
Selling chiclets. That's what that's what I paid for my last movie.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Pocho Hour of Power.
Great to be here.
Orale.